Hey, today we're going to be talking about my 2019 Tacoma Off-Road 4x4. I bought this Tacoma at Toyota of Tacoma. I can't really say enough good things about them. They were very honest, straightforward. There was not a whole lot of back and forth with it. They gave me more than CarMax for my trade-in. I used to have a Volkswagen Golf and trade that in towards this Tacoma. This was the exact package I was looking for. It was the off-road edition, no tech package, no frills, no extra stuff. All it has is the tonneau cover and the all-weather mats. I paid roughly about $35,000 or so for it after the Costco purchase program, which if you don't know, you can go to Costco, and as a part of your membership, they have a purchase program, and you just put in what car you're looking for. It'll tell you what dealers are doing the purchase program, and you can know weird conversations with the salesperson, the sales manager. They just give you a price. It's usually a few $100 below invoice. As you know, on Tacomas, you typically don't get that good of a deal with them, so I was able to get a really good deal, and the factory incentive still applied since it's the end of the 2019 year. I was looking at the 2020s, but I'm not 100% sure that that's what I wanted to wait for and if I wanted to pay full price for it on day one. So I was able to get a really good deal on this 2019 right now with the Costco purchase program. So the Tacoma was introduced in 1995. They always made 4x4s with them, but the off-road edition was introduced in 98. The off-road edition has a few extra features on it. It has Bilstein shocks, has some different tires, has a locking differential. I would say that those are the major differences. I'm sure there's a bunch of tiny other differences, but that's the main ones, the reason that I got it, and not the Sport or the TRD Pro. I knew I was going to be modifying it, so again, the Pro seemed a little over the top. You know, if you're not planning on modding and you just want to drive it right out of the box and just drive it for the whole life of the truck the way it sits, the Pro's the way to go. If you're spending more time on the road, then the Sport's the way to go, because it doesn't have the Bilstein shocks, doesn't have the extras that the off-road edition does for off-roading. So I wanted to be able to take it off-road, wanted to take it overlanding, take it camping, and that's the reason I got the off-road edition. So as far as the specific features on the 2019 off-road edition, it has keyless entry, has push-button start, has a bunch of safety features already installed that I didn't need in the tech package. I always look over my shoulder when I'm changing lanes. I always want to make sure that no one's there, so I don't need a light telling me that. I don't need backup assistance, things beeping at me. I really don't like lights and things beeping a whole lot, so that's the whole reason I went with a truck that didn't have the tech package. And so I'm not going to go over all of the features of the truck. I just want to sort of introduce my truck as it pertains to what I'm going to be talking about on this channel, and really just kind of go into my experience with it. And you could always watch another video where someone goes into an in-depth review in it. Most people who are watching this video, they're going to know what a Tacoma is. They're going to know the features the 2019 has. The reason I didn't pick it up over a 2020 is because I didn't necessarily need the power seats. I didn't really care about the facelift, and with the year-end incentives going on, if I could save a few bucks and essentially get the same truck, same engine, same transmission, same drivetrain, then I would rather do that than wait another 2, 3, 4 months, get a couple of extra features that I don't necessarily care about. So I was coming off a 2018 Honda Ridgeline all-wheel drive premium. I personally wasn't too excited about that truck. It lacked a lot of the off-road features that I wanted from a truck. It had a bit more power than the Tacoma. I mean, it was somewhat of a rowdy truck. It really went when you pressed on the gas, but I felt like I was driving a car most of the time when I was driving that truck. And it, while it functioned as a truck, it had a bed, it had a bunch of the plush features that a lot of trucks don't normally have unless you get the limited version of the Tacoma, say with the leather seats, heated everything. My Ridgeline had that, and it's not going to make or break my experience with the truck. So originally I was looking at used Tacomas, And the Tacomas, they could be 2-3 years old, have 40-50,000 miles on them, be pretty well used, and you know, at least a quarter of their you know, of their service life already used up, and they'll still be going for, you know, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 less than they're going for new. So I was originally looking for a used one, and they just you know, hold their value so well that I couldn't help but get a new one. And with getting the new one, I'm able to drive it, you know, that same 40-50,000 miles, and get the new experience of it, and have a truck with a much higher resale value than if I bought a used one and then drove it another 3, 4, 5 years. The amount that I would lose on it by looking at the used market right now, it seems like I would be losing a lot more if I had bought used, which is probably why they go for so much used, or at least the dealers ask for them so much used, is because they know that they're going to be able to sell a new truck when someone comes in and looks at a used one. With the Tacoma, there are a few things that I think are lacking with it, things that seem super obvious nowadays to have on a vehicle that the Tacoma just doesn't have. I can't understand why in 2019 that a mid-level trim of a truck is going to not have Apple CarPlay. I mean, to me, that's insane. To not have Android Auto, not have Apple CarPlay, when the vast majority of users who are going to own this truck, if I had to guess, probably 95+% are going to have an iPhone or going to have an Android-based phone, and to not include that just seems insane to me. I mean, to say the least. It seems really like an oversight. And then I know that the 2020s are coming with it, but, you know, is that really a selling point? I mean, I know they're going to sell more of the 2020s, or, you know, hopefully sell a few more of them and use that as a differentiator. But I mean, it's, like I said, it's 2019. This isn't a time in which, you know, these things are like a paid-for feature. I mean, they come standard. Even on my base level 2016 Golf, it came with Apple CarPlay. I feel like Toyota really missed the boat with this, and is really not listening to the marketplace and not listening to their customers when it comes to including things like Apple CarPlay. Another oversight that I think is kind of silly is that this truck doesn't have automatic headlights. How do you not have automatic headlights when that's been a standard feature on cars and trucks since, you know, 2010? I mean, again, it's 2019, and to not have automatic headlights just seems silly to me. I'm constantly, you know, having to go between daytime running lights or headlights, you know, and kind of just having to switch between all of those. Weirdly enough, it has automatic high beams, but it doesn't have automatic headlights. I'm sorry, I just don't understand why. It's a small little infrared sensor that goes up by the mirror, goes down on the dash, tells when it's light out, kicks on your headlights automatically when it doesn't, saving you time and kind of hassle of like having to switch around a switch. It's nice to have full manual control, but automatic headlights typically have full manual control. You can click them down, you know, click it back up. You know, you kind of do whatever you want with it. For this truck not to have it seems pretty insane. Another thing with the Tacoma is that, and this was kind of my gripe the whole time while I've been looking at Tacomas, because I've been thinking about for, I mean, probably 10 years now about getting a Tacoma, and every time I drove one, they just seemed underpowered. I mean, it's a V6. I know it has plenty of horsepower. I know the specs kind of line up, but when you drive it, it doesn't go. I mean, you press on the gas and it drives like a truck. And really, that was the one thing that really surprised me about the Ridgeline, is that it had a lot of get up and go. I mean, I don't need it to burn out every time I hit on the gas, but I do need to be able to get on the freeway without having to step, you know, more than halfway on my pedal. I need some power when I need it. You know, but like I said, I don't need a race car, but the Tacoma just seems underpowered to me. And another thing that seems a little weird is this truck is really floaty. And by floaty, I mean it kind of floats around. It goes around corners and kind of leans and whatnot. And some people may like that, but I feel like that we have enough technology, shock technology now, to where you still can have a little bit of stiffer road performance while maintaining your shock absorption for your off-road. And really, I mean, that's more of a nitpicky thing. It's more of a preference. I don't think that it really matters too much that it's floaty. And some people may prefer that. That's just me. I feel like it's a little, it responds a little bit slowly when you're going around turns, has a little too much body roll to it. And I know that that's part of the off-road part of it. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand why it's that way, but to me, it feels like it should have a little bit more stiffness in the corners. So as far as the quality goes, I think the truck is very well built. I think that that's what Toyota's made its name on, is the build quality of it, the endurance it has when it comes to off-roading. I mean, this thing, you can just kind of just drive it right off the lot, and and after your break-in period, you can just take it off-road and have no problems doing that. Another strong point of it is I think that it has a lot to offer in the way of reliability. You don't really talk about a whole lot of people getting stuck out on the road with these. You don't really see them off to the side of the road. You don't hear about them breaking down too much, on the trail. And if they do, they're very easily serviceable. So I think that they're capable, they're reliable. I think they're comfortable. And as far as the power goes, I mean, I do think that there's plenty to be had there. Albeit not as much as I would like when it comes to, regular everyday on the road driving. So this truck, in comparison to things like the Ford Ranger, the new Jeep Gladiator, the Honda Ridgeline, the Nissan Frontier, the reason I picked this one mostly was because it is, I think, the leader of the pack when it comes to off-roading capability. I really did a deep dive. I even owned a Honda Ridgeline, and the Ford Ranger is really impressive. The GMC Canyon, the Chevy Colorado. I mean, they're all very impressive vehicles, but I just don't think they hold a candle when it comes to the Tacoma or Tundra's off-road reliability or their capability in that way. So as far as the success of Toyota goes, Toyota sold 250,000 of these in 2018. I mean, they sold, I think, 40 or 50,000 more units than they did in 2017. I mean, the Tacoma is just gaining in popularity hand over fist. I mean, they are just really doing good. With the 2020, there's not a whole lot of changes in them, but, frankly, I don't think a whole lot needs to be changed. They are introducing the Apple CarPlay. They are having the power seats. They are, doing something with the headlights and taillights. There's a little bit of a facelift there. There's going to be a lot of little changes, but overall, the truck is staying the same. I think that the 2020 is going to be a huge success since they're putting in all of this stuff that I personally think should have already been there in a truck of this price and of this trim level. But since they are putting that stuff in, I think it's going to be a really good success. So mine also has the keyless door locks and starting mechanism.